Picture this. You are standing in the middle of a desert at sunrise. The air is crisp, the rocks glow with the first golden light, and silence stretches across the landscape. Then you notice something etched into the stone. Shapes, spirals, human figures, animals that seem to move even though they're frozen in rock. These are not random scratches. These are petroglyphs, messages carved by indigenous peoples centuries, sometimes thousands of years ago. The word petroglyph comes from the Greek petra, meaning stone, and glyphian, meaning to carve. But don't be fooled. This is not just ancient graffiti. These carvings, found on cliffs, boulders, and canyon walls across North America, are a record of knowledge, memory, and spirit. Each line was cut with purpose, each symbol infused with meaning. What makes them so powerful is that they resist easy interpretation. They are both art and message, both map and prayer. Take Utah's 9-Mile Canyon, often called the world's longest art gallery. For nearly 40 miles, its walls are covered in thousands of figures, hunters with bows, bighorn sheep leaping, spirals that seem to twist into infinity. Some images are so detailed you can count the arrows in a quiver. Others are so abstract that modern scholars still debate their meaning. Were they star charts, calendars, or visions from ceremonies that connected people to the spirit world? Now, let's travel to Newspaper Rock in Canyonlands National Park. Imagine a giant slab of sandstone covered with more than 2,000 years of carvings. Human footprints, animal tracks, geometric shapes, strange beings with outstretched hands. Generations of indigenous people added to it over centuries, turning it into a living, evolving record. Some scholars believe this was a kind of community message board. Others see it as a spiritual gathering of symbols, layered meaning upon meaning. One of the most astonishing things about petroglyphs is how widespread they are. From the deserts of Arizona to the plains of Oklahoma, from the cliffs of New Mexico to the forests of the Pacific Northwest, nearly every region has its own style, its own stories carved into stone. The Hopi people see petroglyphs as pathways of emergence, maps of their journey from earlier worlds into this one. The Zuni recognize them as spiritual symbols that connect the physical world with the unseen. But here's where the mystery deepens. Some petroglyphs depict beings that don't seem entirely human. Large eyes, elongated bodies, figures surrounded by radiating lines. To modern eyes, they almost look like depictions of cosmic visitors. Were these carvings records of shamanic visions, encounters with spirits, or, as some fringe theories suggest, evidence of contact with something otherworldly? Let's not forget the animals. Deer, elk, buffalo, snakes, lizards, sometimes shown in realistic form, other times stylized into powerful symbols. A spiral might represent a snake's movement, but it might also mean water, a journey, or even the cycle of life itself. The layered meanings make petroglyphs more than art. They are teachings. They are lessons carved into stone, meant to endure long after voices fade. Consider Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, once the ceremonial and cultural heart of the ancestral Puebloans. Here, on a remote cliff, archaeologists discovered a spiral petroglyph perfectly aligned with a shaft of sunlight that passes through during the summer solstice. At noon, the light pierces the spiral exactly in the center. This isn't coincidence. It's a cosmic calendar carved into stone. For the people who lived there, the movements of the sun and stars were not just science, they were sacred. Move further north to Washington State's Columbia Plateau. Along the cliffs, ancient carvings depict salmon leaping from rivers. These weren't just pretty pictures. They were prayers for abundance, records of migration, and reminders of the sacred bond between people and the life-giving salmon runs. Every petroglyph tells us something about survival, about environment, about the ways communities lived in balance with nature. But here's the challenge. Time and weather are relentless. Many petroglyphs are fading, eroded by wind and rain, or even vandalized by modern hands. That's why indigenous communities and archaeologists are racing to document and protect them. Digital mapping, 3D scanning, and photography are helping preserve images that might otherwise be lost. But technology can only go so far. Because here's the truth. Petroglyphs are not mysteries in the sense of being unsolvable riddles. To the people who made them, their meanings were clear. They were stories, prayers, warnings, memories. The mystery exists mainly because outsiders, colonial settlers, later archaeologists, looked at them without context. For native communities, these carvings still have life, still have power. They are part of living traditions, not just frozen artifacts. And yet, the allure of the unknown is hard to resist. When you stand before a wall of ancient carvings, some symbols are instantly recognizable, while others remain utterly strange. That tension, between what we understand and what we don't, is part of their magnetic pull. They remind us that human expression is bigger than any one culture, any one language, that across continents and centuries, people have always tried to reach beyond themselves, to etch something eternal into the world. Think of the tools used: sharp stones, bone, or later, harder metal chisels. Imagine the patience it took to hammer and scratch each line, often in places high up on cliffs or deep in canyons. These were not quick sketches. They required time, dedication, and often ceremony. Every strike was a prayer, every shape an offering, and because the medium was stone, the intention was permanence. These were messages meant to last forever, or as close to forever as the human hand can manage. So next time you're traveling in the American Southwest, pause when you see a sign for petroglyphs. Step into the desert heat. Let the silence surround you and stand before the carved walls. Ask yourself, what stories are being told here? What warnings? What celebrations? And remember, these were not created for us, but they still speak to us. They cross boundaries of time and language. They invite us to listen, not just look. The mystical power of Native American petroglyphs lies in their ability to connect us. Across centuries, across cultures, across worlds. They are not just carvings. They are threads in the great tapestry of human memory, binding us to those who came before and those who will come after. They are proof that art is not merely decoration. It is communication. It is ceremony. It is survival. The next time you trace your eyes along a spiral in stone, know that you are tracing the path of countless generations.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Feel free to share it with a friend who loves a good mystery. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you won't miss the next story. There's a lot more to uncover, and I'd love to have you along for the journey.